In a name of an episode, sure to frustrate long-term fans, it's Spock Amok, episode 5, season 1 of Strange New World. We got hilarity, hijinks, and plus there's a lot of hijinks. People say it a lot. And for some reason, Uhura's dress uniform makes the opening recap. We'll talk about it after the jump.
This episode of Commander's Log is brought to you by Geek Renaissance. Need that special gift for the nerd in your life? Love supporting small business? Look no further than Geek Renaissance. The artist, Sephra, makes all items by hand and will boldly go to the final frontier for your unique gift. Head over to geekrenaissance.company.site and use the code FLOBITO, that's FLOBITO, to get 10% off your order. Don't forget to follow, like, and share Geek Renaissance on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
All hands, this is Flobo Boyce of the USS Postshow, Chief Communications Officers, but look alive, Captain, on the bridge. What's going on, Captain?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me on, Flobo.
Thank you so much for being on the show there, Captain. I can't believe it. It feels like this show, we were here a couple days ago. Oh, wait, no, that was Starbase 80, our sister show on the web and internet thingy.
And we watched, I almost said it wrong, and we watched the Amok Time, to get us ready for this one. And very quickly into this episode, it starts referencing hardcore, the original Trek. And, oh, man, good episode, I thought.
Really?
Spock Amok.
Hold the phone there, Captain John. You've been, can I say, critical of the series so far, but you're saying this one this week was a good episode. Why so?
I believe, look, we like to talk about the other shows that we enjoy, and they often shape our habits. You do love the NCIS.
Yeah, this show's NCIS in space.
The CSI.
Who are you?
You do love these shows. I, as you know, love another Paramount Plus show, RuPaul's Drag Race.
I did not know that. That's a brand new breaking news that you do. I mean, it's a good show, but I had no idea.
I'm pretty sure I brought it up before. I love this show. Okay. I love RuPaul. I love RuPaul's Drag Race.
Sure.
And for very specific reasons. So I'll go through them very quickly. I love artists. I love comedians. I love creative people. I love that the game is constantly pushing them. Hey, Danny. Hey. And Texas Rangers fan. Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Let's go.
I love these shows. Hey, Stress-Free K's here. I love these shows because it's very different. You're seeing very different kind of talents and very different kind of people. And one of the things that happens is when everyone is so different, you have to kind of judge them on a skew, because it's not like I'm just watching 10 people walk off the street. How does this relate to Star Trek?
I'm just waiting to see.
The Star Trek shows that have been made in, let's just say, the last 5 years, I think it is.
2017, 18.
Yeah. So all of our Star Trek shows have their own characteristics and their own quirks and their own minuses here and there. And I really feel strongly that Strange New Worlds has learned so much from the previous episodes of previous shows. And they know what they're doing. And so the reason why I tend to be critical is because you know what you're doing. Why are you making obvious mistakes? Why are you stealing obvious things from other Star Trek shows or even from other science fiction shows? Why are you using cliches? Why are you using tropes? Okay. We have seen that a lot in the first 4 episodes.
Okay.
This 5th episode of Strange New Worlds turns everything on its head for me. Everything is turned around in this episode. My mind is blown by this episode. And I was so pleased. I was so happy. And I'm going to say it right now. Laan Noonien Singh is now a character I like.
Wait. One more time. I'm going to give you the big screen. Say it again. Say it again, Gavin.
I now like, as of the 5th episode, Spock Amok, I now like Laan Noonien Singh. I like her. What can I do?
What happened? What changed? Let's get.
I'm
you know
helpless.
what? Let's get into it. What changed? I know the whole thing is about Spock. I know it's a Spock episode, but I'm just confused because if you guys have watched Commander's Law, thank you so much. Make sure you drop a like or follow, especially if you're on that LinkedIn. But this guy, Captain, was not a fan of Laan Noonien Singh for a long time. What changed? What flipped? Because she was looking for fun.
Well, you know what it was is they used a lot of very cheap storyline ways of hi Kirsten, of showing us that she's a serious character that is carrying a lot of weight and a lot of, emotional baggage. And I look at her and I go, "You're 21. What do you know?"
Old man Captain. What I
Granted, that's me. That's not everybody.
The old salty dog, yeah.
But like in Memento Mori, which Joe Townsend references in the
calls
comments,
it a new classic. That's an interesting hot take, man.
That is a very hot take because I don't agree with Joe at all, and you know me, I almost always agree with Joe.
Oh, you should. You're Joe Townsend.
My feelings about Memento Mori were very like, well, I'm glad we finally are, tackling this backstory of hers, this. But there were so many like weak things that she did. Her acting is weak. When she's angry, she's annoyed. That's not good acting. That's what a 21-year-old does. I'm angry. Oh, well, that's not what a real person does. That's just like 21-year-old choices there.
My drama teacher would say I was indicating.
Yes. And look, we've got lots of wild.
And that makes me so frustrated. No, I'm just kidding.
But wait, there's hope. I'm the king of the indicators. I'm a terrible actor, but I know terrible acting when I see it, is my point. So I tend not to like what this actor is bringing to that. Let me do her the favor of actually using her name, Christina Chong. And look, she's young, she's learning, and she's working with a lot of other people. And that I was on Pepper Dennis with Rebecca Romaine, and she was very mean to me.
The fact you're the only person that brings up Pepper Dennis ever. That show has gone on footnote by old footnote. You're like, Pepper Dennis, I swear to God.
Dude, I am an absolute riot in how bad the shows are that I've been on. I've been on some of the worst shows ever, and that was one of them. Of course, I was a regular on Homeboys in Outer Space.
Homeboys in Outer Space.
Until I was replaced because, again,
and look what happened. Only one season. You were the key. You were the key. I want to put a table on the Laan Noonien Singh thing because she's great. Because people are watching this looking for Spock stuff. We're going to give it to you right now. Spock says, "Hey, look, man, my relationship isn't doing well, and did a critical mistake, and that's a romantic getaway, fellas. If you do a romantic getaway, it's already too late." Aston. Okay, so Spock and T'Pring are on this ship during leave time with an idea of having a little bit of alone time, but there's a diplomatic thing happening in the background. We'll get to what that is in just a second. Thoughts about T'Pring and Spock together on that ship, with or without hijinks?
I have been the terrible boyfriend. It was a long time ago.
Was it when you were dating Rebecca Romaine? Because that would totally make sense. She was the worst.
No.
Can't believe it.
But, whatever you think the 80s were, that was the fertile playground for me. That's when I was doing all my dating, was back in the 80s.
So it was all like Paul Nagel and like Miami Vice tones. Everyone's wearing pink and aqua blue.
The scruff, and I used to flip up my sport jacket collar.
Remember
the whole thing. And I have been the guy who was like, "You said you were going to be here for dinner. I'm sorry, unexpected stuff happened." I've been that guy. So what Spock is going through, I kept vacillating between T'Pring is right and, man, T'Pring is busting his balls.
Yeah.
And come to find out at the end of the episode, I was right on both counts.
Okay.
And that just shows what a deep character they have created for her. She's not just some cardboard cutout. She's an actual character in this story. And I really like that. I really appreciate that, because the original T'Pring in TOS didn't quite get that.
So I was oscillating, ventilating. What was the word you used? What was the word you used? Ventilating? Oscillating?
Oscillating, I would use. Yeah, going back and forth like my fan over in the corner. Is it making noise?
You got a fan, bro? You live in life. I want a fan. I live in an old apartment here in West LA. Because we saw Amok Time this week, and I was going back and forth whether or not I should have seen it before this. Because the first time I saw T'Pring, she was an ice cold, which is kind of hard to say because they're Vulcans, right? An ice cold Vulcan. But at the same time, I do have prequel fatigue. I'm a firm believer that prequels aren't necessarily better than original material. Like, for example, my big example is always Carlito's Way, Rise to Power, because the whole movie Carlito's Way was Carlito was trying to be clean. So the prequel, you had to show him be dirty, which totally is the opposite. But to see T'Pring now have the passion to take her work with her to see Spock, and to have her disappointed by Spock's duties, we'll get to in a second, but still keep it Vulcan. Keep it a V. I thought to me was so cool, and I got to saw some nuance there. And I can't believe I'm admitting this because Flobo doesn't usually do this. I actually watched this week's Ready Room about how they approached that, because I was fascinated about the range of emotions, human or not human, that Spock had to deal with, but still in that Vulcan kind of sear.
Yeah. Wow. So, what'd you end up thinking about that?
For T'Pring or just for the episode?
For T'Pring, let's say.
Okay, so like we saw, I mean, the show opens up with a fight because he's like Spock is fighting his human side, but T'Pring not having that human blood, but still showing me a way to get her emotions across.
Right.
That was still unique from Spock, but then still foreign to most humans. To me, was a nuance you don't usually get in television in general. Point. A lot of times you have some kind of auteur director like do close up, like you're doing great, honey, keep doing it. Like pretty much the opposite we're saying about Union Singh, and that says so much about this, about how we still have those same shifting relationship expectations. I feel like I'm like waxing poetic. This expectation, like expectations, but still in this like this foreign culture, green-blooded, dominating world. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, as a director, and you studied to do that. As writers, and you've done that, as actors, and you've done that, and I've done that, you're on a knife's edge here. The thing you always must remember in Star Trek with Vulcans, and I think most fans do remember this, is it's not that Vulcans don't have emotions.
Right.
They do have emotions. They don't act on them. They don't express them. They don't share them, but they do have emotions. We see that many times in this episode, and I hope they keep doing it because frankly, I love it, which is Spock like walks out of a situation, then walks towards the camera, and then he emotes. And it's careful work. It's good work. You know me, I'm a crazy fan of Ethan Peck.
Best Spock ever.
Oh my God.
I'll say it now. You come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
I can't go with you.
Spec, I'm gonna call him Ethan Peck Spec. Let's do it. I will fight anybody.
I love it. I can't go with you because for me, Nimoy's always going to be number one. But what I love about all the actors who've played Spock afterwards is if they've had any relationship with Nimoy at all. So like Zachary Quinto became friends with Leonard Nimoy, which I love because they're such different actors that it was so great that they came together and they shared this. Ethan Peck has done his homework. His voiceovers sound so much like Leonard Nimoy. It gives me chills and I love it because it's an aspect of Leonard Nimoy that is so beautiful, his voice. And for Ethan Peck and Nimoy to be the two Venn diagram circles coming together on that, I freaking love it. But Ethan Peck, okay, let me throw this at you. This is something I normally do on Starbase.
He's throwing things at me, y'all.
I normally like to point out, and this is the only one I have so far.
Okay.
A nerdy little trivial fact. A Townsville tidbit, if you will, as we call them.
Trademarks. Are you sure you want to proceed?
I think
I don't
Joe
want
might
Mad
play.
Joe Townsend. I want him on the show at some point. Hey, guys, Flobo, I appreciate you, but you have my Townsend tidbit.
Hey, here's a little bit of trivia for you. Ethan Peck in this episode played 4 different characters. Boom.
4. Continue.
4. He played regular science officer Spock.
Long and prosper.
In his dream sequence, where they recreate the Caliphate battle on Vulcan. Oh my God, it was so beautifully done too. They did the close shots.
Where's the Starbucks on Vulcan? Where? Where's the gym in Vulcan?
So behind the Demici's. Over behind Steve's ice cream. Remember Steve's ice cream?
Bada boom. Hey. Hoboken Vulcan. Okay.
So in his dream sequence, he plays a human, an all-human Spock, which must have been a great day for Ethan Peck because he just shows up and just puts on a jersey. Doesn't have to sit through putting on the ears and doing everything just right. He's a human version of Spock. And then there's an all-Vulcan version of Spock. That's 4 characters if you add in the fact that he played T'Pring inside his body. There you go.
So we got to talk about that because we got Freaky Friday happening in space, but Friday doesn't quite exist. But to do that, before we get to that, let's talk about the actual diplomatic part of the episode, the DS9, if you will. There's a race called the Rongovian delegation. I'm going to get that wrong. I apologize to all the Rongovians out there.
I think that's right.
And there's this basically, it's a very simplified story about there's a 4-way dance between the Klingons, the Romulans, and the Federation go on their own, but who's going to have custody? And they want a ladder match to determine who's going to win. And the Federation wants to get it because you can't go into the wrong side. That's basically what it is. And to do that, they need some really hardcore delegated powers only a Vulcan can produce. John?
Yeah, right? I mean, I love how this is set up. It's very Star Trek to have we all sit around a big table and we have a very difficult conversation. Very Star Trek.
Make it so.
I do love that these guys are kind of badasses, and they're, you know, we do see a lot of resistance to the Federation in these modern Star Trek shows, and that even goes back to like Enterprise. You got to give them credit for that too, and that is great. The Federation and Starfleet as one entity are competing with the Romulans and the Klingons, 2 other races, 2 other cultures, and I do love that in many ways. The challenge is, why would I want to side with Starfleet? What makes you guys better than anyone else? And they really have to prove themselves in order to do that. So that was the diplomatic challenge here. Thank you very much, Mr. Townsend.
He's just so damn nice.
He really is like one of the nicest guys. You and I are considered nice, and really, like, we're a couple of bastards next to Joe.
I know. Thanks for taking my bit, Catherine. I would never say that. I would be like, how dare you take my bit? But I cut you off.
But I do love that this challenge starts as one thing, and then I'll just be foreboding, turns into another thing, because they really do enjoy talking with the Vulcan. They enjoy talking with Spock, and we don't quite know why. And it deepens a mystery here. And then, of course, complications ensue and equals hijinks.
Oh, man, it is kind of weird when the actual word hijinks was used. I
loved that.
Did you really?
It's terrible, but I love it.
It rode the line from being cool to being cringe. I think for me, they said it one too many times. Like, I just don't like hijinks. I don't like hijinks.
I mean, why would they know the word hijinks at all? Why would that word be anywhere in their lexicon? Is it the universal translator? I don't know.
Right. So for those of you who didn't see the episode, how dare you, it's all spoilers, but T'Pring and Spock were going through some stuff and decided, hey, look, let's have some us time. And instead of watching the movie What Women Want by Mel Gibson, had a bit of a soul meld and they switched bodies. So now T'Pring's and Spock's and T'Pring. Crazy. And of course, just because plot says so, Ron Gore was like, we only talk to Spock. And T'Pring as Spock has to go as Spock and really pretend to be them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, there's no reason why this would be realistic even in this world. So the fact they used the word hijinks, it's just very reminiscent of the second season of Picard, which I know you didn't love and you were kind of spotty on.
I haven't finished it yet. That's how so much I did not love it, but I'm working on it.
But there are moments in that where someone will, I mean, my favorite, it's like my favorite Q moment in the history of Q is where he's like, "Oh, you're acting like this? How very yesterday's Enterprise of you." Like, you got to be a Star Trek fan to even understand that that's a reference.
Right. Guess I'm not
so, yeah, I do love that they basically go, look, this is going to be a wacky episode. It's going to be kooky, and that's that. You're just going to have to be okay with that. Yeah. And once that landed with me, I was like, okay, tell me your wackadoodle story. Oh, that's a pretty good wackadoodle story.
So before we go forward with happened delegation, did it bother you as a fan of I guess I looked it up after we did the show on Starbase 80 that Amok Time is actually one of the best episodes, or considered one of the better episodes in Star Trek canon. Did it bother you? It wasn't a Pon Far episode. Do you think it was a bit of a bait and switch?
It was definitely a bait and switch, no question. This is an episode that comes after watching Amok Time. I would suggest to every single person, watch Amok Time before you watch this one. If you didn't, I hope you had a great time. I don't know what that experience is like because you and I watched Amok Time.
Yeah, we did.
And again, I kind of like New Trek's ability to do this dialogue with its fans through the stories it tells.
Right.
Through the way it presents itself. I haven't seen a lot of TV shows do that. I'd have to really concentrate to see if I could ever guess any show that has done that. And certainly that has done it this well. I can't come up with anyone. So I love that aspect. That worked for me.
How did you feel about Spock as T'Pring being a bit more cold, almost like not impersonal, but finding a way to, it looked like they were breaking through to the Rongovians even before Pike had a little bit of a pep talk there. Did that really work for you, or were you like me?
I'll tell you when it stopped not working. Okay, so at first it didn't work for me.
What?
And then they cut through like the middle hour of a body switch comedy. And they look at each other and go, we should just tell the captain. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, I agree. I'm with you.
Huge rewiring of the body switch comedy, which is normally based on the farce of let's fool everyone into thinking that we're normal when in fact we're not. And then that's followed almost immediately by T'Pring inside Spock saying, and I can't do the level of acting, but it's basically, I'm sure you've noticed that maybe my characteristics are different because I'm not actually Spock. I'm T'Pring. And the captain's like, well, yeah, I'm noticing it now.
Yeah, totally.
I love that because there's poor Ethan Peck going, okay, so now I'm T'Pring. She's a woman. How would she talk? How would she move her head? What would her body language be? I've never been a woman, so I have to, come up with this as quickly as possible. And now I'm pointing it out. Thank God. So now we can just get past that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that was a very cool. It was smart and subversive. Joe Townsend says the quote from the actual show. Now that you know what's happened, you can no doubt detect the difference in our mannerisms. and the thing is, I didn't even realize it until I was watching the Ready Room and how T'Pring always had the hands in front of her and Spock always had the hands behind him. But that was very subtle.
I didn't know that. I didn't pick that up. That's fantastic.
Shout out to Will Wheaton because I didn't either.
It's and Will Wheaton, an actor and a guy who's directed as well. So, here's the language of acting being shown to you. That also kind of goes into the diplomatic thing because everything that they do with these badasses that they're trying to create an alliance with. Everything seems to be going wrong. And we don't know why, because there's something very subtle here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we find out.
Well, let's go for it. How do we find out? Because you got 8 other stories to go through. So how do we find out? What's their deal, Captain?
Captain Pike has been listening to them, and they say at one point how important empathy is. That's so funny. You're doing Hulk Hogan stuff while I'm talking about empathy.
What do you mean, bro? I always go over.
Hey, brother, I'm very empathic, brother. The thing that he thinks is going on, he takes a chance, and he basically says to them, from your point of view, why would you want to join up with us? I totally get it. You know, there's this thing wrong with Starfleet and that thing wrong. And from your point of view, this and that and this and that. He's taking a gamble. And Admiral April actually calls him on it. And he explains, I think they identify with whomever they're talking to. And so they're extending themselves. And that's not how they want to be. They want to be thinking about their side of things. So I'm helping them do that. I am empathizing with them. I'm creating the focus on them.
I like it. I love it. It's a great Pike win moment. I think we need more of those. I felt good about it in the moment. But walking away, it's like, yeah, he did just mortgage the entire thing on a hunch. That is very cop procedural NCIS. What are you doing there, Mark Harmon? A hunch. Really? Hey, Dave Caruso, what are you doing? I'm a hunch. What? We're breaking laws here.
It's pretty consistent so far with Strange New Worlds too, because one of the things I didn't like last week about La'an was the trope of she says to do something and someone says why, and she says, I can't explain why. I'll tell you if I'm right.
Yeah.
I hate that in storytelling, because how often does that ever happen?
Right.
You know, if you and I are trying to get into a club and I go, I've got a theory, and you go, what's your theory? I'm going to tell you my theory. I'm not going to go, I don't know yet. Let me find out if it works.
I don't think anyone said the word hunch in real life ever. Only medical police officers who've been told to put their gun in the bag on a table have hunches. That's just the way it happens in these shows. Why? Stress-Free K says, how to use the term radical empathy, which is a phrase from the author Terry Givens. All 3 vignettes are a version of this term. I agree. I'm totally
that's fantastic, Kay. Wow.
But in total episodic fashion, we had a little bit of figuring things out. Everything's great. They fly the flag of Starfleet, and we got the body switch back, because if this was Discovery, it'd probably be a 4-episode arc. I thought it was pretty cool for what it was. I feel like having it as a muck, I was expecting another Ponfar episode or a Ponfar adjacent episode, or we saw Stan or something like that. But it's kind of tragic.
I'm glad none of that happened, because I was worried how much they were going to have to contradict Amok Time in order to tell their story, and they didn't contradict it at all. And I was afraid Stan was going to show up, especially when they're like reading each other, you know, when they're like bridged mentally, psychically. I thought he'd be like, who's Stan? And I didn't want that to happen yet, because what happens in Amok Time is she needs a guy. She needs some mope, some jerk to be her guy. Yeah. And that's Stan. And I like Stan in that, you know, in that niche. Also, in Amok Time, he says, I thought I could ride it out. I thought once the Ponfar hit me, it wouldn't be as bad, because I'm half Vulcan. And so he has not gotten the crazy Vulcan blue balls yet. Just regular blue balls.
I feel some discomfort, Captain.
It's tightening.
It's in my
lower ovals.
Let's talk about lower body extremities there. It's surely for rest of the crew, and Nurse Chapel has a date, but her date catches the feelings and she bails. What's the deal with this? Nurse Chapel's out there trying to have some fun. These poor guys are just sipping all over our nurse.
You know, I'm gonna piss off some people with this, and I'm not sure
already.
I'm not even sure how much I feel about it, but a lot of what happens in this episode is the women are doing what in the 60s the men would be doing, which is fine. And we know from watching modern T'Pring and Spec, Ethan Peck's Spock. I'm using that forever, by the way. We know from their mating rituals that the women are constantly initiating things. They are constantly taking the first step or the final step. The example of the the engagement, where she says, will you marry me? And he says, I thought you'd never ask. And then she presents the jewelry. And so, there's a lot of flipping of the traditions, a lot of flipping of the stereotypes.
Okay.
And so I was very much with Chapel on this. I also love the time that we spent with Nurse Chapel on this, because she's a good actress. I really enjoyed her so much.
I want to jump in here. I want to jump in just real quick, because when she was on that date with Lieutenant Dever
sounds right. Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I was thinking about we can sit here and talk. Like, it did the weird sound drop out, like she was in a war. I was like, it's not that. Let's talk. Oh no, I have to go help a friend. I was like, okay, I get it. Relationships suck, but a talk is not that bad. But sorry, continue. You were saying something.
It's after the tanks fire in Saving Private Ryan.
I'm hit. I'm hit. The flashback.
Like, wait, do I have to meet his parents now?
It was just so weird.
Oh, I love it. I love it because Christine Chapel in Strange New Worlds is such a free spirit and such such a person, and just nothing about her doesn't fit. It's all part of a fleshed out, if you will, character. I like her a great deal. The one thing I didn't like was the relationship with Chapel and Spock is happening now. And that
I disagree.
That doesn't come up in TOS, which happens after this. So yeah, that's where I am. But you disagree?
I disagree. I feel like, because you asked me this last week, how's that going to work? Because it in TOS and I don't know how you call it, the animated series, TAM, I don't know, TAS. It was definitely, it looked like it was unrequited or a one-way direction.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Chapel like Spock, and Spock was like, oh, space. I thought it was kind of cool that it looked like they were having an understanding, and I'm willing for that to grow, because if it's an understanding and it's nonverbal, all it takes is a giant blow up for them to be like. So if they had a big misunderstanding, Nurse Chapel could be like, we're done, and then have the events of TOS play out, where she goes, well, I made you some soup. You know what I mean? Like, I can see that still being part of canon.
But in this episode, she starts to catch feelings for Spock.
She doesn't catch feelings. She goes, maybe okay, maybe she does. But I
have to watch it again.
I interpreted the art as, maybe it's okay if I caught feelings first. I think it was her realizing she was going to allow herself to be in.
Maybe.
I didn't quite see the step of, maybe that guy, that Spec guy, is pretty hot. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Because he was working with T'Pring, or the body of T'Pring. So I was like, you got a weird trying to slide up in there. I'm like, yo, what's up? I'm on shore leave, bro. Like,
I mean, the T'Pring thing, I'm just on that. I'm just like, okay, you just tell me what's going on and I'll just accept it. So
I forgot. Yeah.
She finds criminal Vulcans and she talks them into surrendering themselves to be rehabilitated. Okay.
Yeah, that was like, hey, I'm on the writing staff. A D plot. Okay. I got 3 pages.
Like, tonight, Law and Order Vulcan.
Hey,
you're a bad guy. So what if I am?
Hey,
come be a good guy. I don't think so.
See, I told you, it's NCIS every week. NCIS space. What was his name? Barjan.
Oh.
Straight up racist against humans. So Spock as T'Pring is like, you want to help or not? And he gets knocked out. That's my notes. And I said, Captain John would love this.
you know what I did love about that? We did go a little deeper into this tension that we know that is going on with Spock, which is Spock feels ashamed of his human side.
Mm-hmm.
And that never quite stops in the story of Spock. But it comes down a few levels in this episode, and I appreciated that. Spock was fairly confident while being an outsider and othered in TOS. It is a constant. It always reminds me of X-Men. You know, you never forget you're a mutant, and the people hate mutants.
Right.
So I always liked that. And yes, Spock is a mutant, isn't he? I think he is.
In some way.
Yeah. Although his superpowers are all Vulcan superpowers. But anyway, I do love that we took that down a few notches in the sense of Spock going, you know something? I am what I am. I just have to deal with that. I am not human. I am not Vulcan. I am Spock.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought was too early. That was the part I was like, well, going forward to TOS, he was really sure of his dualism. And I know having him struggle here is great, but him having that moment of, yeah, I'm by species. Yeah, season 1. Like, what? Where can you go now? Or okay, are you going to retcon that next season or what?
Well, you know what's nice about it is he no longer has to apologize for it. So we get to move forward from there. And that he's pretty, I felt like, again, I really want to watch this episode again. I felt like what he was saying to Prang was, you know, just like enough with the, your room looks too human. You're having human problems. Enough with this shit. It's part of the package. That's it. I can't believe I just cussed. I never cuss on this show.
Whatever. No one listens to the show anyway. So I had asked the chat about seeing Pike in a green uniform, and Joe Townsend says, answer your query for Commander Follow. Thanks, Commander. Pike wears the green wraparound well. He sure does. Silver Foxy. Another Townsend tidbit. Trademark. The alternate tunic was designed for Shadow to have in his man girdle. Excuse me, it's just a girdle, okay? We've come too far for you to use qualifiers. Oh, I'm just kidding. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Joe Townsend.
And that is true. That is true.
Captain, how's a man girdle? What's a man? Is it like a? Did you ever wear one before? I did it once when I was a kid.
You know something? I really
or a teenager
should have. What? Okay. All right. You're bearing the lead here. Why were you wearing a girdle?
Oh, because I was on my JV football career, all of 2 weeks. I was on the line, and so when you are in the 3-point stand, I played nose. So I was in 3-point stance opposite the guy holding the ball. I had some overhang, so I had to make sure got tightened up. That's what it was. It wasn't like
tum.
Let me get. I love right now. I wear a girdle.
The most I have done is when I was wrestling. I wrestled as there was a show I was in where you basically were you played a famous wrestler.
Okay.
And Hacksaw Jim Duggan is what they asked me to do.
Wow, I'd be insulted.
So I wore compression shorts.
Oh, were they sexy?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they were. I
pulled them way up too.
I gotta see these pictures. If you want these pictures, find out more at Weber Internet Thingy on YouTube.
I'll see if I can dig up those pictures.
So something I didn't think was going to happen was the concept of fun, and is Una Chin Riley fun? Captain, I didn't think it was going to be a thing, but we got ourselves a nice little C plot this week here as Una and Noonien Singh try to figure out how it is to be cool.
I loved their subplot. There had been that reference earlier. I guess Ortegas makes it about the Enterprise bingo card.
Yeah.
Which was just a throwaway line, I thought, but they found a way to actually make it like a subplot, like, oh no, there's a bunch of things that you do on the ship. And so the two characters that we're supposed to think are the most serious. Oh, I mean, what's the joke? It's like where fun goes to die.
Yeah. By that mean old Commander Riley. Okay. Or Lieutenant Riley, excuse me.
Right.
He's mean?
And so and then doesn't she like misremember it at some point? She calls it like the fun funeral or something.
Right. Yeah. But
oh my God,
I thought it was cool, but my question from last week still stands. I feel like I like the idea of having Rebecca Romaine, or the meanie Rebecca Romaine, be number one. Majel Barrett looks part of my looks the part, but it seems like the show's going out of her way to keep her out of anything main, except the fact that she was altered. But everything else is kind of like, yeah, you're number one, but this is going to be a Spock episode. You're number one, but it's a Noonien Singh episode. You're number one, but Uhura wore dress uniforms for Captain's dinner. Like, What is going to be the role you think of Una Chin Riley as it continues?
What I have really enjoyed about number one so far is that they didn't make her perfect. And a lot of times in Next Generation, I felt like Riker was perfect.
Mm.
That Picard actually had more foibles and more, weak spots that could be turned into plots than Riker. And that Riker's this kind of Superman.
Yeah.
So when I heard that Rebecca Romijn was going to be playing Una, and they said, and this Una is an Una you've never seen before. When I heard all that, I honestly thought they were going to make her the Noonien Singh character.
Mm-hmm.
She would be super powered and she would have all these abilities no one else has, and that she would carry this great weight, and that it would take a long time for us to find out what it is. And in the very first episode, in the pilot episode, they have to rescue her, and that she's been beat up, but she's tough, and she comes back. What I like about her is I relate her more to Pike than anyone else in the cast. She is more like Pike than anyone else, and I like that. That's who a number one should be. Although you're my number one, and you're clearly better than me in almost every aspect.
That's not true. Everyone loves you, John. You make this show work. But I just want to be able to have more Pike and one doing things together. It just feels like they kind of find ways to keep them separate. Certain scenes, they're there, but it always seems like she's off on one mission, Pike's on another one. I don't know.
She's the alternate captain. I've been saying this all along, so I don't know if that makes it more right or just makes me more predictable. But yeah, we've got a really great character with her. Honestly, I think once we get past the introduction stage, and I don't know if that's the first season or the first two seasons. I don't know
halfway
where that
through.
is.
We're halfway
And
through
that's the
season
thing.
one.
Yeah, halfway through season one. Yeah, I mean, once we get through these sort of introductions, you might see a lot more Una and Pike.
Yeah.
And of course, Una and Spock in the Star Trek short trek Q&A, we reviewed that a while back on Starbase 80 as well. That's a great introduction to her. Mm-hmm. And I advise everybody, if you haven't seen Q&A yet of the short treks, see it. She's great in that. So I'm looking forward to what you're talking about, kind of the different points of the star being a little more connected inside. But clearly they're using relationships as framing devices right now. And as I've said, the sort of Wesley Crusher character is La'an, and the Beverly Crusher character is Una, and you just have to be okay with that. I'm okay with it. It's a little strange, but I'm okay with it.
Some back to our house cleaning. So it's 10 episode seasons. The first week of July, the last episode was June 30th, being a double episode of Strange New Worlds will be there on hand to recap. Just Free K says, I wonder if Una allowed herself to be beat up in order to hide her superpowers, referring to the pilot. Could be inclusive. And our friend Joe Townsend, who's going to be on Trek Tonight, available after this, says episode 6 clip for next week is already on YouTube. It looks like some Pike Una relationship is in the mix. I saw the clip from the Ready Room. I was intrigued about that because Pike looked like he got the feelings for this week's guest. So as we wind down, my quote of the week, it's kind of out of context now, is when Spock looked over to T'Pring and goes, "Will you consent?" Almost my new phrase. I'm saying it for everything. You want to do the roller coaster, John? Will you consent?
Always.
Yeah, exactly. Woo!
You don't even have to buy me a beer.
So, John, as we wrap this up, any last things you want to put to bed as we head off in USS Postshow?
Honestly, I think I think you can believe the hype. Strange New Worlds is one of the best Trek shows that's ever been made. You can absolutely believe the hype. They are, if they introduce things that I don't like, they burn them out and they put them in the past, and that makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And Joe Townsend's quote of the week is a great one. I'll reserve criticism of your quarters until your decoration is complete.
Straight bouncer mode. Spock, I get it, man.
I feel like that is such a great summation of how I feel about this show. I will reserve my negativity about this show until they've completed this season, because honestly, all my negativity so far has fallen away, and I couldn't be happier. I'm very, very happy halfway through this season.
like a Jorian Hespert on the grill. Captain John, if someone wanted to follow you on that line of internet and follow your other shows, how'd they go about doing that, good sir?
On YouTube, the Weber Internet Thingy space is all yours. You can catch old episodes of Starbase 80 featuring our good friend Commander Boyce. You can also catch Picarder, which is a show I did with Joe Townsend and also Leo Genesek and Chris Pitcher. And we did that for season 2 of Picard. Turned out to be a really entertaining season, and I think we did a really great show together.
The show was great. Your show was great. Your show was awesome.
You can check.
Picard was great.
And if you're on Facebook, where old guys like me hang out, you can come by Starbase 80, our page there, or Weber Internet Thingy there, or on Twitter at Starbase 80.
What can't he do? I want to thank all the new fans who jumped on the show this week. I did some tagging differences. Maybe they worked out. This is Commander's Log every Thursday. We break down new treks, some of the short treks, Discovery, and Strange New Worlds. We'll be back here next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's like that math I had to do in my head with the clocks and stuff. But until next time, Captain, say the words.
Babies, live long and prosper.